Madrid beat Brest in the last round of the group stage of the Champions League. They couldn't qualify for the tournament's playoffs directly and might face Manchester City in an early stage. This news sparked a very clear reaction in Madrid. Fans have already reacted sharply. How? Stay tuned for that in this video. The topic for discussion is indeed serious. In the meantime, let's recall the events of last night in the Champions League. Carlo put out his strongest lineup for the away match against Brest. Without Vinny, the trio of players up front is Rodrigo, Mbappe, but now he has again come out in the center of defense from the first minutes. Tchouaméni, not Raul Asensio, and the fans couldn't hold back their emotions again, criticizing Carlo's decision. Our coach is kind of stupid. Why isn't he putting Asensio in? Is everything okay with him? Carlo is such a selfish guy. I don't get why he's benching Asensio. Carlo doesn't want to continue. Our defense isn't that great, and Tchouaméni, Carlo, needs to be fired immediately. As we can see, even despite the wins in the last matches, the atmosphere among Madrid fans regarding the head coach remains very tense. The first half ended with a score of 1-0, with Rodrigo getting the goal, but Madrid's overall performance looked unconvincing. At certain moments, especially on the right flank, there was a noticeable nervousness. And at that moment, the fans reacted again. The curse for the wrong lineup kept coming at Carlo. The game would have been much better if Ceballos and Frank were on the field, and Asensio too. Mendy needs to leave the club. He only makes backward passes. He should be sold next year. Release Ceballos and Frank. I don't get why Carlo keeps changing the lineup when the one that worked was effective. Carlo has already explained to us that he's made over 1,000 substitutions. He's picked over 1,000 lineups, and that's why he has the experience to make decisions. This is all true, but here I am simply stating that this is tension. It started a few months ago after the big losses to Barcelona, and it's just been building up. Discontent with the actions, Carlo's choices for the lineup, and so on and so forth. And all the rumors that are coming out about Carlo possibly working his last year. They're not baseless either. And, probably, a lot will depend on the big matches in the second half of the season, including the Champions League matches where we might face Manchester City, but we'll get to that in a bit. We make changes to the squad because every player makes a contribution. We need to leverage the team's strengths because it's really good. So, Carlo tried once again to explain his lineup choice for the match against Brest. Madrid beat Brest. He did it with a big score. Let's take a look at the player ratings. I'm doing it. As always, I'm checking the app for Madrid fans. You can too. Download it. You'll find the link in the description of this video. And we can see just how poorly the match went. He gets a 4 here. Indeed, it feels like Kylian has come back from the fall. Where was he completely unconvincing? Here, on French soil, things just aren't going his way again. But it's not a tragedy. We know that Mbappe is in form and will continue to show himself. The best player of this match is Rodrigo, no doubt about it. He scored 2 goals, played on the left flank, and showed that he can be an asset to the team in any position, on any part of the field. Jude also deserved a high score for this match. He completely took control of the midfield, never losing the ball, and also at the start of the second half, he set up an attack that he finished himself. That was Madrid's second and very important goal in this match. Also, for Jude, this is his 20th goal contribution of the season, 10 goals and 10 assists. Jude maintains a high level and is incredibly enjoyable to watch. So, Madrid beat Brest big, but they still didn't make it into the top 8 teams because their competitors also won their matches. And then what happened was something few expected, because Madrid found themselves in 11th place and had to play against an opponent from 20th place. And there, in that spot, 2 teams end up. One of them is Celtic, and the other is Manchester City. And Madrid, if the draw on January 31st goes that way, could face Manchester City in the early stages of the Champions League. Carlo Ancelotti's reaction was immediate. We don't like playing against Manchester City. City has a better chance of winning the Champions League than Celtic. Now, we're waiting for the draw. Let me remind you how Madrid brought itself to this life. 3 losses in the main stage of the Champions League were recorded against Lille, Milan, and Liverpool. A draw in each of those matches would have put Madrid in the top 8, but such an unsatisfactory result means that they could really end up playing against Manchester City, a stop club in the early stages of the tournament. There was a lot of criticism aimed at Carlo in the comments right away. Why? Is Carlo afraid of Man City? He lacks confidence. For reference, Mr. Carlo has the best squad in the history of football at Madrid. Oh, how I wish Zidane was the coach of this team. When he starts talking like that, we're doomed. I remember what he said before the Clasico. Because you're mentally exhausted, Don Carlo. In Madrid, we don't rebuild players' careers. There are huge demands from the world stars who are ready to come. Here's what the players said, and it kind of balances things out. Here's what the players said, and it kind of balances out what we think about the upcoming match against Manchester City. Thibaut Courtois had some good words. We're ready for the playoffs, we're in good shape, and we shouldn't be afraid of anyone. We'll fight with all our might. Even if we get Manchester City, we understand that to win the Champions League, we need to beat the best, and this team is really strong. And after the following words, Rodrigo, I think you're going to want to feel sorry for the Brazilian, because there's going to be a lot going on. It's hard, tough, challenging, and so on. It's going to be tough for us. Anyway, it's always tough against City, but whatever happens, this tournament is always complicated and difficult. And once again, we're back to the fans' opinions on what they think about the upcoming clash with Manchester City. Get ready for a lot of negativity towards Carl again. Carlo doesn't want to play against Man City because City know how to keep the ball and he doesn't know how to do serious pressing. This Champions League season could be our worst in the last 20 years. If we're not careful, I want to wrap up this segment on a positive note. Let me remind you that Manchester City, Guardiola's team, is not in such a state. Like a few years ago, or like last season when they were winning all the tournaments in England. Manchester City is clearly in a crisis right now, with a lot of injured players. And this opponent is one that Madrid can handle quite easily. Of course, it won't be easy, but this isn't that City. Let's pause on that for a moment. Well, in the end, let's just wait for the draw. Maybe it won't be Manchester City, and maybe it will be Scottish Celtic, and we don't know who would be easier to face. It would be great for Madrid to play this match right now, round of 16, in the Champions League, and while we shift our focus to the Spanish La Liga, another round is coming up, an away match against Espanyol. I've already placed my bet. I see how good Madrid is in attack, scores regularly at least 2 goals. I think Espanyol will also concede 2 or more goals, so the bet is on Madrid scoring more than 2 goals. I think it's actually quite interesting. You can also play, and you can even win real money. You can see the promo code on your screens. Click the link in the pinned comment, register in just 1 minute, and there you go, real money in your account. I'd appreciate a like and a subscription. Let's keep an eye on Madrid's season. There are a lot of challenges, but that just makes it even more interesting for us. Cheer for Madrid. See you soon.